I know my last Forgotten Pokemon video was a year and a half ago, but hey, I'm back making another one. One that was supposed to come out like a year and 3 months ago, but whatever. It's here now, so let's get this shit started. This video will be on the Hoenn eels and clam, Clamperl, Huntail, and Gorebyss. This video will start with the facts, locations, anime appearances of all three of these Pokemon. Second will be the reasons why I think they're forgettable. Third will be what I would do to make them more memorable. And fourth will be new to this series. I will be talking about my experiences or memories with these Pokemon. If I have any, because they are forgettable Pokemon. Let's get started. First up is Clamperl. Clamperl is the bivalve Pokemon. It's a water type with shell armor as an ability and rattled as its hidden ability. Its level up moves include Clamp, Water Gun, Whirlpool, and Iron Defense in Gens 3 and 4. In Gen 5, it acquired the move Shell Smash at the aptly level of 51. In Gen 6, this level up move was moved down to level 50. Quite the correction there, Game Freak. Clamperl can learn some TM and breeding moves too, with the number of which being quite small, but at least it's there. To evolve Clamperl into Huntail, you must trade it while holding the Deep Sea Tooth. If you want a Gorebyss, you must trade a Clamperl holding the Deep Sea Scale. Clamperl is the only Pokemon that has a branch evolution that involves trading with the special item. Clamperl is obviously based on a clam or an oyster, but Bulbapedia also says that it, in combination with its evolutions, can possibly be based on roe, which is a bunch of eggs that are in the ovaries of many female marine animals. While doing research for this video, I realized that I never took the time to take a good look at Clamperl. I always assumed that the clam was for protection while the pearl inside was the Pokemon itself, but it turns out while I was right about most of what I said, the blue part under the pearl is Clamperl's body, with what I always thought of being a pearl in the middle is just a head. Instead, Clamperl produces pearls that it keeps protected with its clamshell. These pearls are what's given to Spoinks for use on the top of their heads, but it may have other uses as well. Now for some Pokédex entries. Most of these talk about the sturdiness of Clamperl's shell, how it uses its shell to catch prey, and how it can only make one pearl in its lifetime. The only one that stuck out to me was the Gen 4 entry. It reads, "It makes a single pearl during its lifetime. The pearl is said to amplify psychic power." We'll be coming back to the second sentence later. In Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, Clamperl is located on routes 124 and 126, but only underwater, so you have to use HM Dive to find it. In Diamond and Pearl, it's located on routes 219 and 221 with the Super Rod. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it's located on route 19, but you have to surf for it during a swarm. In the post-game of Heart Gold Soul Silver, the radio will give a broadcast every day of a new swarm Pokemon. Like there's just Pokemon that's in this certain area that's not normally there, and it'll tell you. So some days they'll say route 19, and it'll be Clamperl, so you gotta surf for it. So yeah, that's basically what a swarm is. In Pokemon Black and White and Black 2 and White 2, it's located on Route 4 with the Fishing Rod. In Pokemon X and Y, it's located on Route 12 with the Good Rod. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the game developers increased the amount of locations it can be found from Ruby and Sapphire by making it available on routes 107, 124, 126, 128, 129, and 130, but still underwater, so you gotta use Dive. And Clamperl can be found in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on Route 15 and Melemele Sea, but you have to fish for it. As for notable trainers, I found Beauty Olivia in the 8th gym of Pokemon Emerald. Yeah, we'll be talking about this later. Clamperl's first appearance in the anime is in the episode Clamperl of Wisdom during the Advanced Generation series. But this is more of a Spoink episode, with Clamperl only appearing at a research lab, and at the very end of the episode, whenever Ash and Team Rocket battle over this rare blue pearl that a Clamperl made. The Clamperl in this episode does have an outrageously strong water gun that looks a lot like a hydro pump, but this is just another filler episode used to show the audience a new Pokemon that hadn't been seen in the anime, like Finneon and Lumineon. So pretty forgettable. Next we'll move to Huntail. Huntail is the deep sea Pokemon. It is a pure water type with the ability Swift Swim and the hidden ability Water Veil. Huntail is more of a physical attacker, so it learns a lot of physical moves like Sucker Punch, Ice Fang, Crunch, and Aqua Tail. But Huntail is also very slow, which doesn't make much sense. Are eels supposed to be super slow creatures or something? That's a pretty big hindrance to a pure water type with subpar defense and pretty bad special defense. Huntail is most likely based on either the gulper eel, viperfish, moray eel, or the oarfish, which all look super cool, but Huntail just looks so derpy with its constantly open mouth and weird sort of smile it has going on, and eyes that are just super far apart from each other. And I'm not a huge fan of this design, but what it's based on are pretty cool. The gulper eel, damn, that thing's awesome. Now for some Pokédex entries. Huntail's presence went unnoticed by people for a long time because it lives at extreme depths in the sea. This Pokemon's eyes can see clearly even in the murky, dark depths of the ocean. Huntail's tail is shaped like a fish. It uses the tail to attract prey, then swallows the prey whole with its large, gaping mouth. This Pokemon swims by wiggling its slender body like a snake. All of Huntail's Pokédex entries were like this for a while, talking about stuff I find cool because I love marine animals, like how it lives in the deep and lights up its tail to attract prey, but then in Ultramoon, deep seas are their habitat. According to tradition, when Huntail wash up on shore, something unfortunate will happen. I really like it whenever Pokédex entries bring up the lore or traditions of the Pokemon universe. When Huntail and Gorebyss are available in the wild, they are version exclusives, which makes sense seeing as they're like counterparts. In all cases, you're able to find Clamperl in both games, so all you need to do is trade to evolve it, which has become easier with the special item becoming easier to find and online existing. Anyways, Huntail's locations. In Black and Black 2, Huntail can be found on Route 4 by fishing in rippling water. In Pokemon X, it can be found on Route 12 with the Super Rod. In Ultra Sun and Ultramoon, it can be found on Route 15 and Melemele Sea at night, but it has to be in an SOS battle with a Clamperl. I went through Cerebi for a while trying to find trainers who used Huntail in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and it's a whopping 0 trainers. You might come across Huntail on the Battle Frontier or one of the other facilities in Emerald, but no trainers during the story use a Huntail. That's really sad. Huntail's only major anime appearance is in the episode The Evolutionary War, but this is an episode that also stars Gorebyss, so I will count this as one of the 2 major anime appearances for Gorebyss. This episode takes place only 2 episodes after the Clamperl episode we looked at earlier, with the one after Clamperl being an episode about Relicanth. So I guess they were trying to get through all of the forgettable Generation 3 Pokemon in one marathon. By the way, I love Relicanth. But this episode is actually a pretty cool way to debut the pair. There are 3 islands. Island A, Island B, and Island C. Very original names, I know. Island A houses a Pokemon Center and a school, so kids from Island B and C go there to learn while everyone else goes there for the Pokemon Center and probably other hotspots that aren't mentioned. But there are often fights and disagreements because the people of Island C think that Huntail is stronger, while the people from Island B think that Gorebyss is. Turns out that Island C's water within some cave contains particles of the deep sea tooth, so every Clamperl that lives there evolves into a Huntail, while Island B has a very similar cave with plenty of deep sea scale particles that evolve every Clamperl into Gorebyss. It's a pretty repetitive and predictable episode, and also another filler one that most forgettable Pokemon star in, but I enjoyed this one more than the Clamperl episode at least. Now on to the last Pokemon, Gorebyss. Gorebyss is the South Sea Pokemon that is a pure water type with the ability Swift Swim and the hidden ability Hydration. Gorebyss is a special attacker, so it obtains moves like Draining Kiss, Psychic, Hydro Pump, and even Confusion at a low level. Like Huntail, Gorebyss is also very slow, which sucks for the same reasons. Gorebyss is potentially based on the snipe eel, a pipefish, an oarfish like Huntail, and or a long-nosed chimera. I don't think these animals are as cool as what Huntail is based on, but at least Gorebyss' design came out better. For a Pokemon known for its beauty and elegance, Gorebyss can be quite cruel. Although Gorebyss is the very picture of elegance and beauty while swimming, it is also very cruel. When it spots prey, this Pokemon inserts its thin mouth into the prey's body and drains the prey of its body fluids. And a Gorebyss siphons the body fluids of prey through its thin tubular mouth. Its light pink body color turns vivid when it finishes feeding. And I love how future Pokédex entries hide this fact. It lives at the bottom of the sea. In the springtime, its pink body turns more vivid for some reason. For some reason. You literally explain why in the Dex entries a whole generation before this. But they did go back to the violent nature of this Pokemon in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and Ultra Moon. Gorebyss is available in White and White 2 on Route 4 by fishing in the rippling water. It is located in Y on Route 12 with the Super Rod, and is located in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on Route 15 and Melemele Sea during the day. It also needs to be called by Clamperl in an SOS battle. The number of trainers in Generation 3 that use Gorebyss are 0. Again. This is just awful. Both Gorebyss and Huntail aren't used by anyone in their debut title. It's like Game Freak wanted people to forget about them. In fact, both Huntail and Gorebyss weren't given a trainer until Generation 5. At least all 3 of these Pokemon were given a couple trainers in the remakes, I guess, but that still sucks. Like I said earlier, Gorebyss and Huntail were the stars of an episode together, but Gorebyss has the luxury of making a major appearance in one other episode, The Great 8 Fate. This episode sees Ash and friends reach Sootopolis City, where they encounter the 8th gym leader, Hoenn, who has a pretty different team from the one he has in Emerald, with his star Pokemon being Milotic rather than Kingdra. But that makes sense seeing as the people writing the episode want a new Generation 3 Pokemon to be center stage. Ash and Hoenn partake in a battle with a 2-round system, making it interesting and a pretty fun battle to watch. But notice how I haven't mentioned Gorebyss yet? That's because Gorebyss is barely in it. Sure, it helps save Hoenn's team from Team Rocket, but this is a gym battle that is 2 parts. How could they have not let Gorebyss appear in the 8th gym battle, but give Love Disc some time to shine? And Bulbapedia labeled this episode as a major appearance for Gorebyss. I know Bulbapedia isn't always 100% correct, and I'm not holding them accountable for anything, but this is not a major appearance. So scratch what I said earlier. Gorebyss only has 1 major appearance, just like Huntail. Now let's move on to why they are forgettable and how they can stand out more. I have 5 reasons why I feel these Pokemon are forgettable. 1. There are a lot of water types. I touched on this in my first Forgotten Pokemon video with Finneon and Lumineon, but it's also applicable here. There is a large amount of water types in the Pokemon games, which coincides with the real world. But Generation 3 introduced a lot of new water types since half of Hoenn is covered with water, making it much harder for these Pokemon to stand out. And a lot of the new water types are either really cool like Sharpedo, Swampert, Crawdaunt, Milotic, and Walrein, really interesting like Relicanth, Ludicolo, Wailord, and Whiscash, or really cute like Spheal, Corphish, and Lotad. And these are just some of the new water types in Gen 3. 2. Both Huntail and Gorebyss evolved from one Pokemon with a trade evolution. While I said the Deep Sea Tooth and Scale are relatively easy to find, I do not mean that for Gen 3. There is only one of these items found in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. And the only way to get it is to do the Abandoned Ship side quest for Captain Stern that can only be completed at the end of the game. And you have to pick between the tooth or the scale. So, in order to get one of these Pokemon in Generation 3, you have to complete this side quest, catch a Clamperl, and find someone to trade with in order to get the evolution. If you want both for your Pokedex or whatever, you have to hope you know someone who picked the opposite item, or even did that side quest, or buy and beat another Generation 3 game while also having access to another Game Boy Advance and a link cable. This is ridiculous. 3. You barely see these Pokemon. Clamperl is found with Dive in Generation 3 and their remakes at the end of the game, but at least you can encounter Clamperl in the wild in its debut title. In Generation 4, Clamperl can be encountered with the fishing rod in a handful of areas, but only in the post-game. In Heart Gold Soul Silver, you can use Surf, but Clamperl only appears during a swarm. Luckily, Oris gives you more places to get Clamperl, so overall I think Clamperl is the least forgettable of the three, but the hoops you have to go through to even see one are unnecessary. And I get that Huntail and Gorebyss are supposed to be these rare, elusive Pokemon of the deep, so I guess it makes sense that they are not as prevalent with ordinary trainers or even encounterable in the wild. So why not make one or both of them a star Pokemon for Hoenn or Wallace's team? They're the 8th Water-type gym leaders, with Wallace being the champion of Emerald. Sure, they'd probably get overshadowed by Milotic, but at least people will be able to see them, and see them on such a high stage. But what's weird is Hoenn is given a Gorebyss in the anime, which I feel would have helped bring some recognition to it, but he doesn't even use it. Instead, he uses a Love Disc. At least Hoenn gets both Huntail and Gorebyss in the Hoenn Leaders Tournament in Black 2 and White 2, but it would have been nicer to see them in a gym battle. Something they could have also done is give Huntail to Archie, or one of the admins of Team Aqua. 4. They all have pretty bland designs. Since these Pokemon have the distinction of being so sparse, I kind of wish they were given a more memorable design. Gorebyss looks cute and elegant and is definitely my favorite of the three, but it also looks a bit too much like Love Disc and is even a Pokemon I thought Love Disc evolved into when I was a kid. Clamperl is just kinda boring. I mean, it's better than Corsola, but not as cool as Shelder, or Cloyster, definitely not. And Huntail just looks dumb. With Gorebyss, I can see it making a person playing Pokemon for the first time think it looks neat, or wonder what it is and how to get it, while Huntail would make that person snicker a little bit and then completely forget all about it. But we've seen other Pokemon from this generation that have bland designs that are much more memorable. Pokemon like Bagon, Snorunt, and Chimico are all super rare in Generation 3. But one's a dragon with a kick-ass final evolution, one is a Pokemon that Ash used on his team, and the other was given the Wobbuffet treatment for Gen 3 in the anime. Number 5. Both Huntail and Gorebyss are slow, pure water types. Remember what I said earlier about Clamperl's Pearl being able to amplify psychic power? I think this would have been a perfect opportunity to make Gorebyss a water and psychic type, while Huntail is a water and dark type. Gorebyss learns a lot of powerful psychic type moves upon level up, and Huntail swaps those moves for dark type moves. I can also see Huntail as an aggressive Pokemon that lurks in the dark, while Gorebyss can receive the power of the Pearl Clamperl creates or something. I don't care, it just would have been nice if they had a dual typing. Thing is, Sharpedo and Crawdonts are water dark types that debuted in Gen 3, so I can see the game developers thinking it's a problem that there are 3 water dark types that come out during one generation, so that's probably why they just made Huntail pure water. But with both Huntail and Gorebyss being pure water, it doesn't really matter which one you use, like in a playthrough. Like, maybe in competitive it matters more, but just in a playthrough, I'll use whoever, they're like the same thing. One has higher special attack, one has higher attack, that's it. But I guess in Gen 3 the dark typing was special, and Huntail had higher physical attack. It's the same thing with Sharpedo, Crawdaunt, Absol. Dark types sucked in Gen 3, but would have gotten better. I don't know. So I guess Gorebyss is the better of the two technically for Gen 3, but other than like in the later generations, it doesn't matter who you use. Who the fuck cares? But what absolutely makes me feel Huntail was supposed to be dark and Gorebyss was supposed to be psychic is because in Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, Huntail has a dark type assist, while Gorebyss has a psychic type assist. Making them more memorable is hard because of the same reasons as Finneon and Lumineon. Like I said, there are a lot of water types, but ever since Black and White, both Gorebyss and Huntail have become available in the wild, with the exception of Oris and Sun and Moon. But something I find cool is how they were added to the decks in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. These two games added a lot of older Pokemon into the region to entice people to get the games, and while I don't think Gorebyss and Huntail turned any heads, I think it shows that the game developers are trying to make them more available to people in the game so they don't remain obscure forever. One missed opportunity I feel is how they didn't receive Megas in Oris. Megas weren't perfect, but my favorite thing about them was how it made lesser known Pokemon more viable and badass. And I remember thinking back when Oris was about to come out, how cool it would be if both Gorebyss and Huntail got Megas. Just think about how much a Mega benefited Mawile's notoriety, and it probably would have benefited these two the same way, but I guess we'll never know. I already went over their type and trainers that should have used them, so the only thing I can think of to help them stand out, other than have them in the anime and manga more, is give them some stat buffs. These two suck when it comes to competitive battling, so can't they just get a buff to their speed or maybe their HP or something? Their abilities also only work in the rain, with the exception of Water Veil, which means Huntail can't get burned. Sure, they have Shell Smash, but so do a lot of other Pokemon, and every Pokemon with Shell Smash isn't that great or much better than these two to begin with. Lastly, let's go over my experiences with these Pokemon. First up, I used Huntail in a Sapphire playthrough and a Gorebyss in a Ruby playthrough for the making of this video, back in February of 2018. Yeah, this video was supposed to come out a while ago. How I used these two was I traded over a Clamperl egg at the beginning of the game and used them as one of my starters essentially, and at around the 3rd gym I evolved them with the special item I sent over from another game. I named my Gorebyss Ariel because Little Mermaid, and was on a team with Apple the Metagross, who I also used the egg thing for, Pauline the Masquerain, Periwinkle the Zangoose, Vase the Cradily, and Zang the Absol. I named my Huntail Meep because it kind of reminds me of the anchovies from SpongeBob.
2 jellyfish, meat in the net, bacon in the net, jellyfish.
I used it with Bacon the Salamence, Castiel the Shedinja, Tattoo the Seviper, Cacti the Cacturn, and Laser the Exploud. The reason why I played through these games was to 1. Play through Gen 3 with Pokemon from Hoenn I haven't used before, and 2. To play through with Huntail and Gorebyss for this video. And to be honest, they really didn't stick out at all. They're just pure water types. It was cool to use them in Generation 3, but I had more fun using Beldum, Metang, Sheldon, Salamence, Shedinja, Masquerain, and really everyone else. Clamperl reminds me of opening a treasure chest in the deep sea or something, like Link in the Water Temple or something like that. I don't know why it makes me think of that, but... While Gorebyss just sounds beautiful. And Huntail sounds like TV static, so that's not super flattering. But these Pokemon are for some people, I guess. I remember back during the X and Y days, my cousin used a competitive Huntail with Shell Smash. I don't give a shit about competitive battling, at least anymore, but I'm sure that was a good strategy for Huntail. I mean, I honestly think it was the only strategy for Huntail, but, you know, it was probably fun for him. But I can't imagine training a Clamperl to level 50 to get the Shell Smash. Or it's made it easier with the Blissey farms, but I remember training in those cafes in Pokemon Y. That's how I trained my Pokemon up, so yeah, that would have sucked. When watching the anime episodes for this video, I realized that I remember watching the episode Clamperl of Wisdom, but I remember it more for the Spoink losing its pearl and the blue pearl that Clamperl makes. Clamperl was just there. I didn't really remember that part of it. I just remember the Spoink. But Clamperl does have a very cute voice in the anime, I'll give it that. And last thing, I actually caught a shiny Clamperl in Omega Ruby back in, I want to say the beginning of 2015 or the end of 2014. I sent it up to Pokemon Sun, which I will go over in a future video. Oh man, I hate how I did that. But yeah, I have a shiny Clamperl. I haven't evolved it yet. I'm going to evolve it into Gorebyss. Even though I do like Huntail shiny, I actually think it looks nice. The green. I still don't like the design, but I think the green looks really nice on it. Anyways, that's it for Clamperl, Huntail, and Gorebyss. So this series is back to no camera. I'm not gonna say I regret doing the Heatmore Endurant video in that style, but it was a very rushed decision that I did on the fly, so it comes off as very awkward to me in that video. So that makes it one of the videos of mine that I don't like watching, for other reasons as well that I'm not gonna get into. So I guess Heatmore Endurant, that video will be like the black sheep of this series. Makes sense. It came from Gen 5, which everyone hates for reasons. Maybe I'll go back to the camera someday. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Who cares? But seriously, thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to comment talking about your experiences with these Pokemon. Any of the three. If you have any, you probably don't. But if you do, that'd be awesome. And then leave a comment of a Pokemon that you'd like me to cover in the Forgotten Pokemon series. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.